Chapter 7 Sneaky People. I definitely want a drawbridge for my next house, said David as they walked into the art room for the start of the second week of summer fun exploration camp. He had already changed his mind 3 times in the hallway. First, he had wanted a suspension bridge, then definitely a beam, then probably a cantilever. At one point, he'd wanted all three. And I want the kind with triangles all along the side, said Katrina, who was already spinning on her stool, because they are pretty and make the bridge super strong. To fight the trolls, she jumped off her stool and did a kick to the side with one leg and then a kick to the other side with the other leg, all while wearing a skirt made out of floaty white netting covered in sparkling sequins. Jessie had to admit, Katrina would make one fierce fairy. A truss bridge, said Jessie. Here. She handed Katrina a piece of paper. I drew a picture for you over the weekend. Jessie had had a busy weekend. She had gotten her second fairy house out of the way so that she could concentrate on a bridge this week at Camp Pixie didn't seem to mind. As long as everyone finished the 3 houses by the end of the session, she was satisfied. The deadline for the bridge contest was in 2 weeks, Saturday to be exact. Now that Jessie had finished her blueprints, she was ready to start building. Her entry would be a 6-foot long suspension bridge, strong enough to hold her as she walked across. According to the rules for a category, most innovative 9 to 12 years old, she was allowed to use popsicle sticks, string, cardboard, glue, and anything found in nature. However, she was not allowed to use metal, including tin foil, plastic of all kinds, wire, nails, or anything that involved welding. Jessie knew that the key to winning the wow factor would be when she walked across the bridge in front of the judges. As far as she knew, no one in the history of the contest had ever tested their entry by using themselves as the load. It's what made her bridge most innovative. Even she wasn't sure it was possible, but she knew if she couldn't build the bridge strong enough to walk over, she wouldn't win, and Jessie couldn't stand the thought of someone else getting all the applause that came with being the winner. This morning, Jessie had stuffed her backpack full of popsicle sticks. The other campers drifted in, and Becky managed to kick Jessie's stool on the way to her own seat. The sudden jolt caused Jessie to scratch her pencil across her drawing. Pixie floated in from the hallway. Good morning, sleepy fairies. Happy Monday to you all. Did everyone sleep well in their nutshells last night? Oh, brother, thought Jessie. I did, said Katrina, waving her hands, which was covered in glue. She jumped off her stool. See my fairy skirt, see how it twirls. Then she did a series of spins and kicks that looked surprisingly vicious, despite the light-as-air skirt. Pixie scooted Katrina back to her stool and then said, Today we are going to... Her voice trailed off, and there were tears in her eyes. Jessie knew what tears meant, sad, except once in a while they meant happy. It was very confusing. Do you need a glass of water? Asked Jessie. I think maybe I do, said Pixie. She took a few noisy gulps from her water bottle, very unfairy-like. thought Jessie. Come along, little fairies, she said. Into our wonderland we go. It's time to draw pictures for our new and wonderful houses. I've brought in something very special for you this week. She opened a large trash bag that she pulled from behind her desk and scooped out a handful of acorns to show them. I spent the whole weekend collecting them. She demonstrated how to separate the cap from the nut. The cap could be a little fairy plate, and the nut could be a fairy cup. Then the class got to work drawing pictures of fairy houses with acorns, acorn chandeliers, acorn tables, acorn staircases. David edged closer to Jessie's seat. I don't want to make another house, whispered David. Can I help you with your bridge instead? But before Jessie could answer, Becky swooped in and whispered, Nice going, freak. You made the pixie cry. Jessie looked around the room. Why would asking someone if they wanted a glass of water make them cry? And besides, Pixie was crying before Jessie said anything. But Jessie could see that Pixie was hiding behind the open door to one of the paint closets. Do you think she's crying? Jessie asked David. It's hard to tell. Maybe she's just checking her phone. All the kids do that a lot. Kids? Asked Jessie. She's the teacher. Well, she's only in college. She's the same age as my oldest brother. They went to high school together last year. Jessie frowned. She did not think it was right for a college student to be teaching a class, and she did not think it was right for a teacher to pretend that the fairies were real, and she really did not think it was right for a teacher, any teacher, to hide behind the open door of a paint closet. This is ridiculous, said Jessie. If there was one thing Jessie didn't like, it was people not doing what they were supposed to do. Scott Spencer cutting in line, the horrible substitute teacher, Mrs. Vinnie not even trying to teach them about poetry when Mrs. Overton was absent. Jessie's father leaving them once and then coming back just so he could leave them again, without even saying goodbye to her. And as far as Jessie was concerned, the crying Camp Fairy teachers were not doing anything right. Jessie would have to do something about it. She walked across the room and opened the paint closet door all the way. Are you crying? Pixie turned around, surprised. Her eyes were red and wet, and there were a little round globules of snot hanging from one of her nostrils. Definitely not fairy-like, thought Jessie. I'm just not... Pixie's voice wavered. I'm not having a very good day. Jessie thought about this piece of information. It did not make sense. It was only 9 o'clock in the morning. It was too early to decide if today was a good day or a bad day. Why? She asked. Jessie, said Pixie, exasperated. She smoothed the palm of one hand against her face, trying to wipe away tears without looking like she was. A black smear of makeup streaked across her cheek. It's complicated. It's not something I can just explain. Jessie stopped to think about that too. Why not? She asked. She thought about the invisible forces, tension and compression that work to keep a bridge from falling apart. That was complicated. If Jessie could explain that idea to Katerina, which she had, then Pixie could definitely explain why she was having a bad day. Pixie twisted her index finger into the edge of her t-shirt, twining it tighter and tighter. It's just that the camp director, Mrs. Richer, the one who runs the whole program, she said that there was a complaint filed against me by one of the parents, and that if it happens again, I will be replaced. Does that mean fired? Asked Jessie. It sounds even worse when you say it like that, said Pixie, her eyes filling again with tears. She untwisted her index finger and used the hem of her t-shirt to wipe her nose. I wasn't even supposed to teach this class. My mom was. She planned the whole thing. She used to be a teacher, but then she had to have surgery. She had to have surgery when she was a teacher? Asked Jessie. No, just 3 weeks ago. She's totally fine, but she needs to stay in bed for 6 weeks. And I thought I could help, show her that I'm not such a mess up. I just wanted to prove that I could help like a grown up. You're not a grown up, Jessie pointed out. Anyone can see that. Maybe you'd look more like a grown up if you weren't wearing fairy wings. We thought the class would get canceled, said Pixie. Not enough kids signed up, but then at the very last minute, one more kid signed up. Just enough, and it was too late to tell Mrs. Richer that my mom couldn't do it, so I said I'd do it. David Kay, thought Jessie, if he hadn't signed up for the class, Jessie could have spent 3 whole weeks working on her entry for the bridge building contest, and Pixie could have stayed home with her mom. 3 weeks, she could have built 2 suspension bridges in that time. I've tried, said Pixie. I really have. Tried what? Asked Jessie. To be a good fairy and a good teacher, but someone complained. And it's another mess up, which is pretty much what I always do. Pixie started to cry again. Katrina came over and slipped one of her gluey hands into Pixie's and gave it a squeeze. Who complained? Asked Jessie. It was anonymous, said Pixie through her tears. I don't like sneaky people, Jessie said. Why didn't that person just tell you to your face? That's the way we do it at our house. I tell my mom what's bugging me all the time, Jessie glared. I don't like sneaky people. She was staring right at Becky when she said it. It doesn't matter who, said Pixie. She wiped her face again and sighed. Then she twirled Katrina once so that Katrina's very skirt flared out and told her to go back to her seat. It just matters that someone said the class was boring and that doing the same thing for 3 weeks was no fun. That's why I spent the weekend collecting acorns. I thought it would make a difference. But I don't think it's enough. It's not, said Jessie flatly. Acorns aren't very interesting. You know what's interesting? Bridges. Bridges are fascinating.